Hello, hello. How's everyone doing today? I can tell you that today we went for a beautiful hike in nature. And then we came back and we had poached eggs on toast with salsa, avocado, and goat's feta. And then we napadated. Norma
Boy,
Jean,
did we.
how you doing?
Yeah, it's having those long walks in nature, have been so, um, what would be the word for this? Cleansing, which brings ultimately clarity. And, to be able to be out there and just breathing in those, that mountain air, just seeing everything for what it signifies, what it stands for, just helps bring you back to the realization that you're just as much as anything else, that represents just the joy of what this place is meant to be for. So, being out there and coming in and having such a great way to break that fast with the poached eggs and all that goodness and so much great flavor, and then Napa dating, man, I'm telling you, at some point in some time, you can almost just say, sometimes that's the life.
Well, it was much needed. So, who else has been feeling these energies the past couple weeks? We really want to hear from you. And there's just been some comments that have come up. And literally, as I came out of my napadation, um, somebody in the Telegram chat had a comment about around death for a few days, and I was like, okay, I know what that is. Like right away, because I was still in that space. I'm like, oh, that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, and for me, it's required to get into nature. My body just goes, you're not doing that. No, go. And then it's just so important to just get out and be one with nature. And, even though, oh, I got stuff to do, even though, oh, I should be doing this. No, you should be connecting with nature and just being for at least part of your day. And so we're just working out a new routine, so to speak, a bit of a schedule because we've got a lot on our plate and we're in that creation mode, and it's challenging because I can see opportunities and how to expand or grow, and it goes boom 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 and it goes out like a spider web. And then I need to stay in the center and just keep going. Show me what else, show me how we make this work within this. And so going out in nature helps to move that energy and solidify anything. So absolutely. Over on Rumble, hey guys, we've got Tango. Hello, Tango. Al Barnby. Hello. Kirby Cannabis. Hello. See you guys over there. It's great. We love having you. We do have a few over on Facebook. We have Cindy, Andrea. Nice to see you guys. And I know there's a few more on Facebook too, and that's okay. You can just watch. Yeah. Barnby says, you put on an amazing show, Norma. We couldn't catch it live, but we caught it after you. Sure come a long way from when I first seen you speak in front of the camera many months ago. Yes, yes. Absolutely. And that's part of that letting go. And
Oh,
and nobody practice makes perfect, even though, right? Even though it wasn't normal for Norma to do that, it wasn't something she'd done before. It was something that she's come into really beautifully, and now she's pretty much channeling a lot of the time, which is fabulous. So we operate a little differently. I'm much more off the cuff, free fall kind of girl that I love just going a bit more off the cuff. And Norma likes to have a little more structure, but there's something to that structure, and I take note of that. And we'll put some more structure in. And I think this week I'm going to talk more about chakras, the energy centers, and how they correlate to the different organs and how they correlate to your energy and the process of moving through them. For some reason, I'm shuffling cards, so I guess I'm going to pull one just to give everyone a little time to come in. And this is from the Sacred Forest deck, very fitting considering that's where we were today. Always in the woods, sometimes by the ocean, but definitely the woods are really important. Hey, Robert, I'm Bob. Good to see you. Absolutely. All right, let's pull one of these cards. So Norma, what are your thoughts on today's topic of discussion?
You know, that is, when you come to realize, like last night when we was having our conversation, it didn't even dawn on me that, when I was speaking about the time from 26 to 33, that I feel that I probably went through the most significant dark night of the soul. And, you know, when we look at that, I don't look at that and see that as ego. What I look at it as is that this is when I begin to really recognize what ego was.
Mm.
And in that, it helped me to understand that when we face ourselves, regardless of where we're coming from, whether you want to call it good or bad, evil or whatever it may be, at the time, even though I didn't have the understanding and the info, the knowledge, tapped in as much wisdom as I do now, that it was just a way to show me. I had many ways I had many roads to choose from. And in that, I understood that even with the dark night of the soul, so to speak, even though I recognized that and knew that that was a part of me, it was one of those that it helped me to realize that the ego can take you to what you call those boundaries. And it will meet you there just as much as your higher self will. And you have that choice to make then as to not about good or bad, but is this who I am? Is this who I want to become? And whenever I hit those boundaries, there were times that, believe me, with the things that was going on in, around me and in my life and all the, everything that life can challenge you with, to give you those trials and tribulations to help you evolve through that, there could have been times I could have stepped over those boundaries and could have swayed more to that side of myself I didn't have the fullness of understanding of, but I didn't, because I recognized it and I seen that. I knew that there was something about it that was just not me. And I feel that a lot of that was coming up was even with the dark night. The one thing the dark night will do is it will show you those parts of yourself that really aren't truly you. So you see, this is the reason why you should never reject that shadow side. It's probably more profound than that lighter side. Okay, so that's what I came to understand in my life. So when it comes to the ego, it's a wiry little booger. You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention, because if it can weave its little way through those little cracks that you're still managing to find and to heal or to fix, to plug, so to speak, it will get its way there. And it's one of those that at this time, the one thing I can say that I've realized is this is that time. This is that time where it's going to take its last chance and opportunity to see if it can come back in and be as much in control, so to speak, as it was at one time. Even as we go through, expanding more in our understanding and knowledge, becoming, going from that, that neophyteness into the adepthood that we're all moving towards right now. So that's what I've come up with as far as speaking on death. A long time ago, I made peace with that. It was one of those that when we are faced with something that may make the body react because it's something that overwhelms the brain, okay, because it's a lot of information to take in for the brain and it doesn't know what to do with it or how to perceive it. That's just the reaction. And that just, it taps into those chemical processes that are in the brain. So the brain, because the vessel is about, even the organs, it's about survival. And in order for this vessel to survive, when there are points and times where we become so fearful because it's something that we're not ready to experience, the body will do what it needs to do naturally in order to ensure that it survives. So that's when it'll start shutting organs down to protect the most important ones. And that's always going to be your lungs, your brain, in your heart. So I made peace with that a long time ago. I come to understand that it's just part of the process.
And if you're just beautifully said, Norma, if you're just joining us today, we're talking about this there's a couple things we're going to talk about. One is this underlying feeling of fear of death, or this underlying uh, it's like a deep rooted bit of an angst, uneasiness maybe, and it stems from another timeline of Atlantis where we came so close to being where we almost are today, but we didn't make it. And this is in your DNA. So a lot of people aren't aware of it. So that's one thing we're going to discuss today. And again, welcome everybody that's just popping in. The other one is we talk about the mind a lot and we talk about the body. And in your mind, you have this ego, which can be highly beneficial. We're not saying you need to get rid of it because that is not possible. It's almost as if an integration with it more, or getting it to surrender for the greater good of all, so to speak, and for your greater good as well. And I can tell you, unlike Norma, um, having the space she's had to work on this stuff, that I'm running a business, and I'm running a business that requires me to take action in specific ways. And so there's a constant balance for me on that, because part of it again it also is the masculine part that, like, I got to get this stuff done. We need to focus on this. I need to do this. So I have to really be conscientious, aware, and observe myself really strongly at all times to make sure that that's not getting to edge back in. And so part of that is the ego, because it ran my business for so long. I can do this. I can push through. I am capable. Now the opposite of that is surrendering to what is and allowing the divine to guide you, which means not having expectations, which means like truly just letting things go. And if something comes up and shows you, oh, why is this coming up again? And observe it. And now I'm good at that and not attaching to those things. But there's some definitely deep seated stuff that I feel most of us have, that we're not aware of it until it comes up, until it shows. So we're going to talk about, one, surrendering ego, or some steps on how to do that. And two is surrendering to the divine womb of all, the mother creator, and um, being in complete symbiosis with earth, with others. Your decisions are made based on the greater good versus self. And we've been so taught and so brainwashed to put ourselves first. And what does that cause? That's that separation. That's that division. It starts within us first. And it is playing out in the collective all of the time, which can be really challenging. So before we get into that, I'd love to read a card for you guys, because, that's always nice. Let's start off with this one. This is called the Reflecting Pool. And you can see she's standing in the woods, some beautiful colors in the background. And looking in the water, and her reflection is actually a swan. And so let's just see what the card has to say. And Laura, we will get to that for sure. Reflecting Pool, stillness. It's a very important card for today, trust me. As you stand on the soft moss at the edge of the forest pool, you can see your own reflection. A soft breeze ripples the surface. Your image wavers and shifts, only to return as the air becomes still. In the quietude of this moment, you tap into the internal source of your power. Solar plexus? You watch as your reflected image transforms into the highest form of you. What beauty and grace! In stillness, your power emerges. In stillness, your power emerges. Tap into your inner sacred witness to discover the dwelling place of your soul. In profound peace and silence, you can discover the truth of your being. If you are in pain, go into the stillness until you find the source. Resist the temptation to indulge in the feelings of overwhelm, urgency, and emergency. There is always a higher truth to seek out. Your soul loves what is real and honest. In quietude, the truth emerges. Move past the bustle and chatter of life into sweet stillness. Allow the chaos of the outer world to roll off your back the way water rolls off the back of a duck. Surrender to it. Seek solitude to hear the voice of spirit, and serenity will follow. The spirit of the reflecting pool says, in silence, you'll find the dwelling place of your soul. Take time to move into quietude, and you'll uncover a vast store of insight emerging within you. In ongoing situations in your life, hold back. Take time to reflect before responding. Was that not the perfect card for today? Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. That is the message for all. And yes, thank you for the reminder. Thumbs up, please. If you're enjoying this, I gave it a thumbs up. And of course, those algorithms. And if you know somebody that needs to hear this message, please share. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Message about guidance and learning my number. Oh, perfect. Awesome. Beautiful. We're so excited you're here for today. It was a perfect card for today, wasn't it? Yes, that was very beautiful. And we will go through this. Norman, do you want to start off? Let's start with the ego. And we did enlist some notes for this to keep us on track. But of course, we will always add our 2 bits to it, so to speak, our experience to it, into the flow.
Like, like I was speaking to earlier, like when I realized that, throughout the time that I was recognizing that what you call the dark night of the soul, it's just,
Mm,
it's his own energy that shows you much about yourself given where you are. And so it was, for me, like I said, when I realized that, it wasn't something that was, it wasn't as much the dark night or the darkness of the soul that's a part of me, because we're yin and yang all the time. This place it's almost a naturalness of duality, but it's not. It only becomes duality when we lose the understanding of what contrast really stands for us here. Contrast is what brings those two energies together to meet, to understand itself as a whole in this vessel, in this being, or with this being that guides this vessel as well. That's the reason why there's three on in anything you that you look at. And one of those three does not say anything about an ego. But like you spoke to, it's not that the ego is bad, because the ego is one of those that also, when you look at the R complex, you understand how the manipulation and how we were taught things in that manipulative way, where we didn't think of ourselves in a what you say in that healthy level of selfishness, because there is what is defined as a healthy level of selfishness, where in that it does not mean that you're stepping on someone else or that you're putting something else that's not just as important aside. What that means is there's a healthy level of selfishness where you understand that when you know all about self, then there are times that you begin to understand nothing else has to come before you. Because if everything else is in harmony, there will be nothing that will be there to stand in front of you. And in that healthy selfishness, that's where you understand to take time for self, to say, I need those 5 minutes. I need those 10 minutes, not because I'm being, difficult or anything like that. It's that's their time to get to know you. So understand that there is a level of selfishness which that ego provides. So that's where we begin to understand how to utilize that ego. It's the monkey mind. It's where the ego becomes like that child, that neophyte level, where it's like, then it's, well, what about me? Well, why can't I get this? Why can't I get that? No, this is not how this happens. You got to understand the difference between understanding dealing with someone that is of that mental level, to know that they're only there because they're working through that, or it's working through them. See, there's a difference. Working through it means you're recognizing that the ego has its place where it will take you to those boundaries, and that's what that's for. That's to be able to recognize the difference, to understand that it can influence us because it is of the R complex. It starts back here, and this is the part that happens more.
R complex. You said it twice now. Can you just explain what that is, please?
It's just the R complex is the one that's at the back of the brain, that's on the right side. That is the part of us where we store information. So it's the part of the brain that takes in information, and that's where, whenever they were using things to manipulate us with, like the MK Ultra programs or subliminal messages and stuff like that, that's where it goes, and that's where the monkey mind comes in, and then that's where those subliminals begin to work, which comes to the forefront of the brain, where the brain doesn't know the difference. It just only knows the information it's taken in. But a lot of us, or at least for me, what I came to understand was I had to see through all that, because it was, how we have an original tapestry, so to speak, in our mind of who we are. And there can be those draw down curtains that we don't know are draw down curtains, so to speak. Like you were talking about the spider web, it's the same thing. When we come in here, we come in here with an original synaptic spider web of what it takes for us to get to know ourselves. But when we were born in here and born into the nefariousness, another web was placed upon it, and that's what the R complex is metaphorically stands for. So that's where the ego begins to not understand it's being manipulated, because that's the easier part to manipulate of the brain. So that's the reason why, when we go through this, to understand that you got to have love for self and lack that judgment in order to step back, to have the discernment to understand how to look at self first, much less anyone else, because everybody else is going through the same thing. So as we go through this, that's the reason why we speak to it, and I'll continue to speak to it. You got to love yourself. You made choices. It's that simple. I did too. There were choices I made. I was like, I could have been so shameful and felt guilt for. But I came to understand over time that that's what held me back from getting over that, to getting past that, to going through that. So that's where it's like, you got to understand. You got to look at yourself as a child at that time, because you kind of were. But you were a child that was being led and guided in ways you didn't know that you were, and that was manipulation. So as far as where the ego is concerned, it's no different than anything else. You just got to look at it. You can't judge it. You just got to see where the illusion and the manipulation lies, but to see the truth of what things are, because that's what the ego will do too. Because whatever it is you're responding or reacting to is going to tell you exactly what it is you need to see. And when you can do that and do it without judgment, and do it from discerning level, and do it from love, you'll go through things like that in your understanding like there's no tomorrow. You will speed up in your understanding.
And at first, it very well can feel like, oh my God, we're dying, right? It's gonna want to hang on. That's its role, is to help
Mm-hmm.
you. And when Norma's speaking about neophyte, that's like being a child, like you're just beginning to understand. So let's look at it from a soul level too, because so many souls, this may be their first time in a human body. And so they're in survival mode. They don't have that underlying experience yet. They just don't. And they're still in that survival mode, and they're just trying to figure out, what the heck? How do I do this? Without knowing it consciously, they're just getting through and trying to make decisions. So they're very easily led to through any of the programming, through the school system, through parents. And there's no right or wrong again. It is. It's what we created as a collective to go through so we could come out this other side. I really truly believe because you don't know how good things can be or how joy truly feels unless you've experienced sadness. So imagine the deepest despair now that you've experienced, and what is the opposite of that? You have to be able to allow it though and not sit in it. So let's go through some of the actual steps because I think that's really important. And let's also mention that of course there's many of us that are definitely older souls because we've got this, we were the black sheep. We never fit in. We wouldn't follow. We bucked the system. Maybe we didn't know why during that. We just didn't fit in and we couldn't operate any other way. So to me, that is an old soul with a very strong um, underlying knowledge of just going, well, no, that doesn't make sense to me. And that is overwriting any of the programming. We were able to like, no, not happening. No, not happening. I'm going this way. I'm doing that. And so it makes perfect sense to me that, we've got this varying degrees of souls here right now. And I don't have any judgment on any of them. I can go out and observe what's going on and see the duality of it, but still have compassion for both sides because I can see that too. And that's kind of where you go from that ego into the more of a divine, where even if somebody's like freaking out on me online, when I did the religious one, there was a couple people over on YouTube that didn't like what I was saying. And I'm like, that's okay. And I was very kind to them because I get it. And so there's this, beautiful crossover and weaving going on right now about that. And then on the flip side, as I said, it's that deep seated in your DNA. And I've been aware of this for probably a year that this was going to be coming up. And I think it comes up at different times for everyone, just like everything else. That because we didn't make it in Atlantis, there's that deep fear. And the other day I was driving and I'm like, so what would I do if all of a sudden I was going to die? Well, I think I would have a first reaction of fear. But on the other side of that fear would be surrender because it just is. You can't fight it. So, and that surrendering can happen in small steps every day. It's like letting go of your mind. If you're not spending time in nature, being quiet without your phone or closing your eyes for 5 minutes and observing your thoughts, this is greatly going to help you get through this. This is probably one of the number one steps you can do, is to sit with self quietly and just observe. There's no right or wrong thoughts, but you'll find that there's some predominant thoughts and ones that come through the strongest for you that need to be looked at and can be looked at and should be looked at. And so that's part of that mindfulness practice is to being able to observe. But that meditation, that 5 minutes, it's kind of like the first two steps. And Norma's favorite question, number three.
I always got to be asking questions. I always have. And, and I have to admit, through self inquiry, ask yourself, who am I? Why am
Yeah.
I here? But the most important is, who am I? And you ask yourself, who am I beyond the roles and identities you assume, to peel back the layers of the ego and approach your core being. So if you're not asking questions, what is it? How is it? I put it one time. I can't remember now. Something about if you're not doing something, if you're not growing, you're not going. If you're not going, you're not growing. And in the going, that means you keep moving forward. But the only way to move forward is to ask those important questions all the time. Always stay in wonder. Stay in wonder. Well, why? Why this? Why is it that way? Why do I have to feel this way? Why do they have to respond and react the way they do? Because the more questions you ask, your higher being wants you to, because it wants you to know so that you know more about who you are. So you get to that core being. Okay. And it's a beautiful process. It's usually profoundly beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. And meditation works for me, a few people are saying. Absolutely. Even if at the beginning it's a guided meditation, that's okay. But if you can set a timer for 5 minutes and then just close your eyes and just observe what comes up. And you do that for 21 days, 30 days, you're going to find your monkey mind gets quieter. It's like
Mhm.
retraining it. There's the Om for 21 times, right? And so your mind is counting, your body is doing, you're shifting your frequency. And that was really helpful for me when I had such a busy mind and had a really hard time sitting still. That was a really strong one. That worked well for me. And everyone's going to be different. So I will be putting out some meditations around this. I probably got 3 or 4 that I'm working on right now. The other one is expanding the heart. So that's part of the surrender though, right? Is to operate from here. So along with the self-inquiry, service to others. Instead of what am I going to get out of this? How can I help others? What can I do to help others? Because in that giving, you are receiving. And in that giving, that feels so good. Now you're increasing your vibration, which increases your frequency, which sends out a different frequency than if you were just on your own trying to make everything work. Does that make sense? So being of service, absolutely, service to others. How can you be of service to others? I'd love to know what you guys are doing now to be of service to others. How are you helping? Do you have any good stories to share with us? That would be great. And then I want to do this other one too, because that was really funny. Embrace the woo way.
Woo wee.
Woo wee.
Woo wee. I missed that one by a snickle and a hair. I'm just, yeah.
Woo wee. It's like a ride.
Woo-wee.
Keep going on a ride. Practice non-action and allow life to flow naturally. I get really good at this one. I'm really good at this one, especially when I'm away. Absolutely. Make decisions that are in harmony with the greater good rather than personal gain. And even in my business, I literally physically say to clients, I don't care if you hire me. I don't. I just want you to know what a proper paint job is. And I want you to know why I've done this over the last 18 years. I'm really fussy about this on exterior. Why we live in a rainforest. And when you don't use quality products and you don't do it properly, it's not going to last very long. And we've been in business for 18 years. I've got homes we did 16 years ago that still look good. So being able to tap into that. So, woo-wee! Norma Jean, back to you.
No, yes. So the next one is going to be letting go. Woo wee, that one's a difficult one. I'm just saying. So letting go has got to probably be one of the hardest. I won't say hard. It's the one that presents what does that mean? What does it mean to let go? And there's so many levels to understanding what letting go stands for, what it signifies, because it depends on is it the matter of the heart? Is it the matter of the mind? Is it the matter of things that are going on outside of us? So what it speaks to is it says, surrender your rigid expectations and accept the present moment fully. This reduces resistance and the need for egoic control. So when we look at this, it's and I'll tell you, this is something that I work at continually. Letting go of, things that I thought was this, that, or the other, or this way or that way, because it's just a thought. Because until I have something that brings that experience into my field, that's all it is. It's just a thought. So I like working from where understanding how to let something go is to see the whole picture as it is in that moment. And that's how we begin to see through that, even when we're doing service to others, that's probably one of the greatest places to surrender to letting go, because regardless of who they are and what's going on, what's taking place, you don't know why they're being the way they're being, because you're not them. But the one thing that it will do and help you understand is Where you let go is I don't know what that individual is going through, and I do not need to understand. I just know that the response and reaction, I know it because I've been it. And that's where you let go. That's where you let go of wanting to control how someone is being in your immediate environment, especially if you don't know them. At this point in time, you just observe and you say, man, my heart goes out to this individual. It seems like they're having a rough time with themselves. So, knowing that first is if they're having a rough time, they're having a rough time with themselves first. It doesn't matter what brought on that rough time for them because they're making choices. And in those choices, when they're making them, is either bringing about harmonious, experiences, or it's bringing about those experiences that, we have a little bit of suffering. But without the suffering, we wouldn't know what harmony is. So the next one is emotional mastery. Recognize when you're operating from lower psychic elements like ego-driven emotions and choose to respond from a place of higher awareness. So T, I'm gonna let you tap into that one because
woo-wee! I think that's gonna stick. And it's really interesting how it's spelled. It's WUWEI. But I think that's gonna be a call because I love having calls. Woo-wee is gonna become a thing.
There you go. Woo, wait.
So ego-driven emotions. So even we were driving the other day and I made a snarky comment and Norma said somebody needs an apidation. And then I just started laughing. Oh, I know they do, don't they? So I played into it quite well, but it did first come with me and she was just pointing it out. And then I played right into it. So, right? It's the way to do it. So just and then laughing it off. Stop being so serious. And no matter what happens in the world, it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. You know, I truly believe a lot of this ride we've been on the last few years, so to speak, with its ups and its downs and its sideways and this way, has been to get us to be adaptable. How adaptable are you? How adaptable can you be? And that's part about that is the adaptability and being able to, oh, it wasn't what I was expecting. Interesting. But you know that you attract everything. So you know that this is for you. It's not happening to you. And so being able to really, it's this space. It's this space that you're creating between you and the outside world as the observer and the observer of your thoughts. And then trying to reprogram that subconscious, not trying, mastering reprogramming your subconscious. So you're installing a new program.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of I am statements and gratitude in the morning. A lot of this stuff you guys already know. We're just thought we'd ask Sybil today to see what Sybil had to say. Let her pretty soon we're gonna have Sybil's corner. and we can bring her in live. She'll be live on the website. So yeah, we're quite excited about Sybil. She's been wonderful. We're still talking. So place of higher awareness. That's just in that observer mode. Reflect on divine nature. Contemplate your divine essence and your connection to the universe to foster a sense of unity and transcend individual ego. Now, many of you are very good at this one because you realize we're in this for the greater good. You realize that, you tried to stand up and share and because you thought you were being helpful. That is part of that process I think we all went through, was trying to get other people to understand, what's going on in the world? Are you aware? And they just didn't care. What's wrong with them? They don't even care. So it's just realizing that now we're just observing more and planting seeds, right? We can't do the work for anybody else, but we can sure hold love for them, right?
Yeah.
And we can hold space and we can be there if and when they want to talk. Absolutely. Confront suppressed truths. Courageously face and integrate aspects of yourself that you've denied or suppressed. Norman was talking about this to achieve wholeness and sovereignty. And I would say the same thing. I used to beat myself. I was in not good enough for many, many, many years. Yeah, absolutely. That was part of I definitely took that program on because my dad always said, "Oh, you're never going to amount to anything." And so then my response was to be angry and go, "Oh, fuck you, I'll show you." Right? Which is a very driven way of operating, which is
Mhm.
very depleting. Yeah,
Keep
it's
chasing something. Yeah.
right. It's absolutely depleting and eventually it doesn't work anymore. And so one will
Because
come
what
to
is
that,
good enough?
right? Yeah,
Define that. Yeah.
right? Yeah, what
Yeah.
is good
It's,
enough?
yeah.
It's good enough
It's
in his eyes. It would be good enough in his eyes up to his standards and his
right.
expectations, but also that his father told him that his entire life.
Yeah.
And he was probably told that from people that he worked with because my dad was a bit of a rebel. He had longer hair. He didn't care. He was, even then he was against the government. But yeah, yeah, quite fascinating to look back and observe that now. And in some ways, I think he was just trying to make me a bit tougher, right? That was his way of toughening me up for the real world.
It was enough to piss you off. You made
Yeah,
it. So
right?
and it depends on, that's the thing too, is this, I'm glad you brought that up, because here's the
Yeah.
thing, to confront those suppressed truths, okay, rebel or not, here's the thing that's even the most beautiful aspect to this, is that instead of allowing that to be something that took you down a road where you used or utilized certain things to cover up those emotions, you allowed them to drive you. It pissed you off enough to say, let me show you what I can do. Okay.
Mhm.
And therein lies, the difference between, how there are levels to us as human beings to begin with. Okay. And, I commend you on that. You've done so much, because even though you speak to that, it was exhausting. Of course it's exhausting, because when do you ever hit good enough? What
Right?
is good enough?
Yeah.
So, and at some point you'll hit that wall so many times, and you're gonna be like, what is good enough?
Yeah.
And then at that point you're like, screw it, show me.
I'm always the work in progress. Exactly. Yeah. Guide me, show me what else, right? I know that there's greater gifts in all of us
Oh yeah.
that we get to excavate and discover. And they're going to start popping out. Everyone's feeling these energies. It's squeezing everything out of you that needs to be let go of so that you can become the greatest version of you ever, ever in any lifetime. So there
Yeah.
is no beating up. There's acceptance, allowance, kindness for self, and get curious. Show me what else. Show me what else. I always get surprised. I'm like, "Oh, didn't know I could do that. Cool." Right? Like these are some of the things that come in. And yes, as Angela said, it's fascinating to look back at your struggles and place it into the bigger picture, piece it in. It's like a puzzle. We're all pieces of the cosmic puzzle right now, and we're all vibrating at these different levels trying to locate our place, and then we're all going to plug in and we're going to find that space. And it's not to say that we won't all keep shifting and growing, it's to say that it's going to be oh, there it is. And I don't
Mhm.
know that it everybody I speak to that is going through this, and there's a huge collective going on right now because I'm always connecting with people. There's a huge collective going on right now about this surrendering to the divine. And so that is our next little topic because this one's huge too. Yeah. Bob just said behave Tango Zwango. Tango says, I think I'm pretty much squeezed clean.
Well, you know what? Stay curious there, Tango. Not too serious.
Oh, these boys make us laugh every time. And the final one is cultivate joy and wisdom. Find joy in the process of growth. Look, and that's that gratitude again. That's us being in nature this morning. And if you're sitting inside and you're trying, like we've been mastering, sharing vision and trying to plug in pieces to the business puzzle per se, right? Of what we want to offer and what we want to gift to others and how this can look and how will it operate, and then still integrate some of the business aspects, because that's kind of been missing, things like the marketing. And I'm not saying marketing in some slick and icky way, authentic marketing, like just being us and being authentic. But there's some really key aspects that if you don't know the algorithms and you don't know how the game is played out there in the socials, it's going to be really hard to be seen, because you're just not seen, right? You guys see us and it's beautiful, but we're trying to grow and see a larger audience. It's not easy, but I'm mastering it. And so is Norma. We're mastering doing this. And we've got some great support. So show me, who do I need to meet? What do I need to do? And wait till you meet him, because at some point he'll be on here. I know he will be. And remember, the journey of overcoming ego is ongoing, requires patience, dedication, and compassion for self. Anything you want to wrap up on anything else for the ego right now? Does your ego need to speak?
So serious.
Woo-wee!
Woo-wee! It's one of those, it's great to be here at this position and place where I see so much of myself. And in that allows me the capacity and the understanding to see others. And, it's one of those that no matter where someone's at, if I can pick at them, just like I did with you in the car about, ooh, somebody needs a nap. And we can get to a place where we can laugh about that, because all it is just a recognition. It's almost like we keep ourselves in check. Hey, whoa, slow down there. Your curiosity is off. It ran off the road. Bring it back on here because it's getting way too serious over there in the weeds. I'm just saying. So, I mean, even the other day when I was speaking to what I was speaking to, because I was all in it, and you laughed. I didn't take it personal. I was like, well, okay, she recognizes something I just can't right now. Okay, it's okay. But it was one of those that I moved to that place where I'm open to ask you questions. Please tell me what you see, because sometimes when I'm in it, I can't, because especially when it comes to the matters of the heart, especially with me. Because if it's something that's affecting my heart, I'm like, whoa, okay. Okay. This may be a little serious, but it's one of those that if I get too far in it, then it becomes too serious. Because at this point in time, it's that little serious, then I'm dealing with a little bit of serious A, or I'm dealing with a little bit of serious B. But if I get beyond serious A or serious B and I get to the big serious, I've gotten too far. So I've weaved off the road. I'm back in serious. I need to get back to that curiosity, because there is something to see. And that's where we begin to realize and recognize that that's when the ego can rear its head and it say, have that little bit of that whininess to it. Well, I remember when it was like this, or I remember this time and I missed that. And I want to experience that again. Or is there a way this could be something that we can experience right now? And it's like, in the position I am in right now, and where you're making me feel, no. So is this like, this is where you get the chance and opportunity to really see your ego. That's where it talks about confront your suppressed truths. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with that. You're looking at this, it's coming up for a reason, but the ego is going to slide its way in there and say, well, we need to do this, or this is what's happening. Or, if you do this, we'll feel much better. And that's where you step back and go, no. But the truth will reveal itself, because at this point in time, given what I've been experiencing myself because of the matters of the heart, a lot of my past and my relationships have been coming up for me to look at and to review, to know what I want to let go and what I don't want to let go. And for the most part, most things are being let go of. And whether it be that it's in my time of rest, or it be that I'm having those moments of napidations, it's coming to the forefront so that I can recognize and see it and say, okay, that's not who I am anymore. That's not who we are to be, because now we're so much greater, because we have better understandings of connection, that those connections will lead to greater experiences. And this is so much more profound than any experience I ever had with you. So bye bye.
Yeah, absolutely. And Angela's saying, I'm guilty of going through stages of having anxiety trying to find my path. Yeah, just surrender. Literally, you know what you could do? You could lie on Mother Earth. Just go lie out there. And you can put a timer on if you need to, but just lie on Mother Earth and stay there because you'll reset your entire system and you'll learn to let go a bit more. What were you going to say?
Hmm. You know, it's amazing because here, really pay attention to what you just wrote there. Because
Yes.
that's where ego's coming through right now, because that's ego's way of controlling.
Good point.
That's the neophyte. That's that old way of thinking. That's that habit that the soul, I mean, that the ego has created and formed. You see,
Not good enough. I need to figure it out.
I'm guilty. First off, do away with the word, because only
Yeah.
ego will speak that to you just to keep control. You see, that's what all this is about. That's that manipulation. That's that control. That's that subliminal messaging you didn't know you was taking on. You see, you're not guilty of anything. You're being having a human experience, and you're in the process of finding that balance. You're not trying to do anything, because if you're trying, then that is ego, because only the ego will try again. Woo wait, we've been here before, boys. How many times we're gonna keep coming back here? I know we done passed this tree 3 times. That's your looping. But you see, when you get to a place where you can have a little bit of fun with yourself, when you realize and recognize this is not what I want, this is not who I want to be anymore, because I know so much more, then you'll quit trying and you'll surrender, and it'll begin to happen. Because the sooner you understand that, you release, you let go, the sooner you move through.
Absolutely. Yeah, Angela's got a point. So her reply. I'm so process driven. That's that analytical thinking. Yeah. Yeah. But what can you do? Okay, that's okay that I'm that way. And learn how to be a little bit more. It's okay to be so Norma Jean is much more um she's beautiful in the mind for coming up with things. And for me, I'm like, oh no, I can't even go there. I'm just gonna stay in my body. Go get out of the head. No, we're not going there. It's adding little things to your day, like, I'll stop Norma. Come on, we're going outside. Let's go. I can feel her energy from up here, and I'm not getting anything done because I've hit a wall, so to speak. Time to move that energy. We got to move that energy. And that is second nature to me. Only since, well, I've always been into the sports, but only since, like, being aware, now's the time to move the body, or now's the time to rest, right? So you just accept and allow. Yeah, I didn't get that done. Oh well, it'll be there tomorrow. Yeah. And so as we discussed, and you know, we're gonna run through this a little bit quicker. But we will post these. I'll get these posted out on all platforms this week. And so we'll put it, actually, I'll just put it below in the comments for now so you guys can see it. Integrating the ego and surrendering to the divine is a profound journey that involves a series of steps that can lead to a deeper understanding of oneself and a more harmonious existence. Here's 10 of those steps, right? And in no particular order, and in take what resonates, right? Self-love and understanding divine nature. It's loving yourself no matter what, because you are part of the greater whole. And we really are our own worst enemy. Whoo-wee! When we beat ourselves up for stuff that it doesn't, why? It's done. I did that. Wow, I did that. Interesting. Okay. Well, we know we won't do it again, don't we? I'm so grateful that I now know more than I did then, and that experience taught me so much about self. That's a very different reaction to it, right? And so be kind to yourself. Now don't be kind to the point where, "Oh, I can have that, and I can have that, and I can have that, and I can have that." Be kind to yourself in a deep soul way, in a very deep soul way. Recognize you're an expression of the infinite and that your true essence is boundless and eternal. I was going to say bondless. Boundless.
There's
Woo-wee!
that too. It just depends on where you
Right?
come from.
Right? So many words. You're up, Norma Jean.
I'm up.
Number 2.
Oh,
Meditation and non-dual awareness.
ah,
Engage in
thanks.
regular meditation practice to dissolve the barriers of the ego minds. We were just talking about that. Doing the 21 ohms. There's many more you can do, but just putting that timer on for 5 minutes. Your true self is beyond the dualistic perception of nature. Your true self is beyond. You're a soul having a human experience. Part of being in this human experience is seeing the contrast and seeing the duality. But this is just part of it. This is so you can navigate easier. Oh, let's change direction and swim over here now.
Oh,
You want to
I
add to
love
that,
it.
Norma?
Hey, let's go back to the old days. Okay, you remember Mad magazine, and there was spy versus spy, but yet there were times that when you read spy versus spy, there were times that they actually assisted one another, that they weren't always at each other. So when you look at this and understand that the two of us to becoming the one to work together, especially when we see that what's taking place, the nefariousness or the things that are manipulating us when we're not in that awareness mode, then what happens is the yin and the yang, they come together and they get to spin. It's a good thing, because then it brings all the elements together to do what it needs to do to help you to understand what it takes to push past all the craziness that is in this world. Okay. So, and I spoke to this on my Thursday live. It's about your perspective to understand that everything is contrast. It doesn't become anything else until you put something to it. And once you do that, you divide. You divide because you put an opinion, or you put an emotion or a feeling or a thought to it, instead of looking at it and saying, what is this truly? And to be able to do that is to be able to step back and see everything that's taking place. And then what it was even funnier is T was telling me that there was another shipwreck or a ship accident.
There's been
And I was like,
3.
oh, really? I'm so surprised. You want me to read the next one? I'm so sorry.
No, no, no. Not only is there 3, but get this, guys. There's I've never seen one date get so much freaking attention across the board. April 8th has had more information, disinformation, bullshit, BS, and truth spit upon it than I have ever seen on any other given day.
So much nefariousness. You gotta love it.
Right? Oh, we're in for a ride. And what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna sit and observe it all.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in the roller coaster. I'm waiting. Here comes the big heel. Let's go. Let's see the higher, broader picture of this and see how this really actually comes to play. Because now there's more of us aware, so I can only imagine.
Right?
I wait to see what the end result is of all this, because now they don't have as much of a hold. They don't have as much of a control. So that's the
Mm-mm.
beauty to this.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we do have a Shala here on April 8th at 11 a.m. So that'll be interesting. PT time. Yeah, that'll be very interesting. And I find it quite fascinating. Somebody brought to my attention the 4 red cows being sacrificed for the new temple over over in the east there. Yeah, and so it's just and like, "Oh, another thing to add to the list for April 8th. Amazing." So,
Oh, and
let's
they're
just
what are they doing? They're launching 3 rockets. NASA is that
yes,
day. It's
yes.
just, guys, when you really see through all this and you see it actually for the ridiculousness it is, that is actually still creating all this duality still within us because we're still paying too much attention to it and not just seeing it for what it is. You'll begin to laugh like we are because you begin to see the ridiculousness in it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is embracing uncertainty and trusting your inner guidance. I don't care what's going on out there because it's it's mostly not real. It's a garnish for attention. It's like the little kid, "Look at me, look at me, look at me. No, look at me over here." And there's one over here and one over here, and they're both waving their hands. "No, look at her." Like, it's just it's redonkulous.
Oh, can I point something out?
Of course.
Okay.
Did you see that?
It's
Me.
it's just a quick little scenario or a quick little
All
thing
good.
here.
I'm teasing you.
I know. You have your red peel and you have your blue peel. Okay. First off, you understand that there's separation, but it also is a representation. What is it that us as human beings have that represents blue and red? Arteries and veins. And in this vessel, it works in unison with one another. So you see, this is the beauty of all this. Is the reason why I keep bringing up things like Mad Magazine and Spy versus Spy, where it's either it's working again, we're working against it ourselves, where it separates us, and then our body, you wonder, and you're like, why does my body feel the way it's feeling? It's because you got Spy versus Spy in there at each other. No, I'm right. You're right. No, this is my piece. Is my piece. Or you come together and they're like, man, did you see what's taking place? This is because you see, this is of the whole. This is of the whole. So that red and that blue, that oxygen and that carbon, they work in unison to keep the body going, which in turn keeps the body in a fit position. Okay. So it's all how you perceive things. And this is about the best scenario I can give you or metaphor I can give you where you understand red pill and blue pill, where either red pill, blue pill separates you and causes that duality, or the red pill, blue pill represents something about you that brings it together, that helps you to come to the center to understand how to get through all this nefariousness and this ridiculousness. Okay. So you can either be having fun with this, or it's going to be, like I said, my heart goes out to the people that had to go through that. That had to be a witness or that, experienced that nefariousness, knowing that it was a movie scene. It was a plot. It was a scene written for shit like this to be going down, for people to suffer in ways they should never suffer, just because it's them still causing that duality within us, because this is a war for the mind, people. War for yours. And it continues on by creating that duality within you if you allow it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty much everything we've been saying. It's just nicely written out because that's what we got when I woke up and decided that that was it. Um, Again, that meditation and non-dual awareness. Are you judging? Make a list of your likes and dislikes. Why? Right? Because when you can observe it that way, it's like, oh, it's just guiding me, right? Or sometimes that dislike is really a like, but you've put disdain towards it. I hope that makes sense. Letting go of ego and emotions. Acknowledge the ego and emotions as aspects of your lower psychic elements that can be transcended. Move through them. Move through them. Observe these elements without attachment, allowing them to pass through your consciousness without defining them or judging them. Embracing uncertainty and trusting your inner guidance. Release the need for certainty and control. Well, come on, we've all been mastering that one, have we not? Right? That came in pretty quick and easy. What can I control? What can I do? What brings me joy? Yes, there's still things that you need to do on a regular basis, but I can tell you right now, I have a good friend of mine who is getting rid of things left, right, and center and releasing to clear the clutter of her life. What better time than right now to clear the clutter of your life? Not just of your mind, but of your space and place. Then, oh, I don't need to be doing that anymore. Why am I still doing that? Yeah, and letting that go feels good. It's never ending. One of those never ending stories around here. It's always something to get
Never
rid of.
ending story.
Woo-wee!
Woo, wait.
Releasing attachment to dualistic labels. Move beyond the concepts of good and bad. Yeah, just is. I say it all the time. Just is. Oh, interesting. They're behaving that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, well. Surrendering to life's flow. Allow life to unfold naturally without resisting change or trying to force outcomes. Surrender your attachment. So I was talking about that about the first time I went to the debt. I had no expectations. None, zero, zilch. Egypt, no expectations. None, zero, zilch. I just don't. Because it allows me to be really open to whatever may unfold. And then that is the adventure discovery. That it creates the adventure to me. And then you're pleasantly surprised about things. Yeah, much better. Norma, you want to take 7?
Sure. Integrating ancient wisdom. Study and integrate the eternal truths found in ancient wisdom traditions. Now, this is where we talk about as well. Now, as you're doing this, you got to go way back because they've altered so much of the text to confuse you as to what the truth is and what it is. And this is where you,
the Wayback Machine.
So yes, always, this is what we say, use discernment. You'll be able to tell the difference when you, especially when you understand more about your etymological words, etymology being very important. You'll be able to catch where the text changes. But I'll be, going through that, in my shows to help people understand how to recognize that a little easier. Apply these principles to your life, understanding that they can elevate your existence and align you with cosmic laws. There are those 7 cosmic laws. The Hermetics talked about them, and we spoke about them before. All right, releasing preconceptions. Let go of rigidly held beliefs and be open to new teachings and perspectives. This flexibility allows for spiritual growth in the assimilation of higher knowledge. Boy, is it assimilating. Because when you hit those higher frequencies and vibrations, the simulation does change because your perspective changes, your perception changes. It shows you something different. And what you're doing is you're moving more out of the those lower matrix codes, so to speak, of the mind, and you're tapping into the higher realm and levels and vibration and frequencies, which simulates you like you're in a game. Okay, it's the reason why they have simulations in games. You have to go through certain levels of simulation to hit a certain level in those games that you're playing. All right, humility and acceptance. Embrace humility and accept that perfection is not the goal. Surrender your efforts to the divine, understanding that this act of letting go can shift your consciousness to a broader vision. So humility has played a lot of role in my life. I don't know about you, T, but that's one of those where it's like you want to find a wall and bang your head but humility also helps you to understand how to become, what value and integrity truly is.
Yeah, and laughing at, oh, look at what I'm doing, and laughing about, like, you can laugh it off. It's okay. In fact, it's a great way to shift the energy around it. Oh, look what I was just doing.
Laugh at yourself, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go be light, because it's when you lighten up on yourself, laugh at yourself, because you're like, there I go again. Damn, it's okay. It's okay. I'll catch you next time. We'll get this switched up.
Absolutely.
And do you want to finish up on the last one?
Sure. Unification. Recognizing the interconnected oneness of all existence. Strive to see the unity in diversity and to live from a place of compassion and empathy, not rescuing people. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Knowing that by doing so, you align with the divine essence that permeates all things. And you can always look at nature as the example, right?
Oh, yes. Probably the greatest one to look to. Please,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Because you know that that cheetah is going to chase down something and eat it. That's part of it. Is that wrong? Is it bad? No, it is. It was created that way. Big fish eats the littler fish. The octopus eventually dies. Like, well, I don't think they only live a year. It's got a year to experience what it can experience. And damn, is that thing conscious? Has anybody else seen that one? The fellow that visits the octopus every day and how
Yeah.
connected he became to it. So it's a really good way of observing nature, right? Observing nature and how it does. The crows were all wigging out here, not just like we saw them twice yesterday wigging out, and then there was an eagle up above. I'm like, oh yeah, the eagle eats the crow. Like if it can find the nest, it'll eat the babies. And then quite often the crows will go after the eagle and sit on its back on its neck here. But all the eagle has to do, he doesn't waste his energy on it. He just climbs higher and higher and higher. And eventually the crow can't breathe and he drops off. So there's so many examples. And it's just that, again, before you react, interesting that just happened. Why was I triggered? All right, what do I need to look at within me? Right? Because that's a gift. That's a gift. By following these steps, you can gradually integrate the ego and deepen your surrender to the divine, leading to a more enlightened and fulfilling life. Remember, this is a journey of continuous growth and evolution. You're never done.
Never. You don't want it to be.
No, and each step is an opportunity for greater self-realization and connection with the universal source. Because if you think you're going to be done at some point, what's done? Done is stagnant. Done is cooked. Dinner's done. You eat it and it's over. We're never done. We're always evolving. We are energy. We are souls having this beautiful human experience for our greatest good. And when you wake up from this, it's like waking up from a dream. Damn. Yeah.
You start having a lot more fun and you start feeling a lot more joy in being here. You will start to enjoy being here. I did.
Yeah.
It's more purposeful. Becomes so much more purposeful. You become the purpose. You understand why you the purpose.
Mm-hmm. And things that are out of your control that you can't do, as Albarnby reminds us, chuck it in the fucking bucket. Woo-wee! Another one for the fucking bucket. Yeah. And as we're bridging right now between this, we're coming up to the full moon, the eclipse, CERN starting, the rockets, the 4 cows being sacrificed, and whatever else, the bridges and all the people and da 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 da.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Right? Yeah. We had David over for dinner last night. And so we were chatting about some of this and we had a good conversation about it. The stars, the astrology does not line up for there to be an eclipse. So, it just is. It's how we respond and react to it that really matters.
Yeah. If at all.
And when you put yourself first over everything else, what can I do? What can I control? And don't forget to just do you. Get more sleep if you need it. I've been napping every day and going to bed still by 10 o'clock out. Like that's a lot for me, which I'm not fighting it whatsoever. Full surrender to that. I'll take it. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
barely keep my eyes open by the time, right? And then this extra hiking we've been doing because we didn't do a ton of hiking when we were traveling. And Norma's working on getting her ankles and knees in shape because of her surgery. This all stemmed from right? Yeah, yeah. So getting that strength back, because I'm like, oh no, we're getting fit. We're getting fit so we can hike where we want. Because there's some amazing hikes here I want to do.
Mhm.
Because I don't know how much longer I'll be here. Anyway, so David and I are excited about Vedette. Ashala is coming to Vedette, April 19th to the 22nd.
So
Really
there's
cultivating.
um,
Hmm?
in
Sorry,
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you were saying something.
Lana.
What?
Lana.
Lana. Oh, Lanny.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Sorry. See, that's the
And
reason I was trying
Lanny's
to stay
coming
quiet
as
because I didn't
well.
know if I was saying it right or not.
That's okay. Lana who? Yeah, it's growing quite quickly to be a really unique group of people coming into this. And so we will be up there again. So if anybody's thinking that they want to travel up this way and get to Vedette Lake, let me know, right? We'll make it happen around a time frame for you. And then we've postponed any big trips. We've got one for the island we're planning for late July. And any big trips we've put off till next spring at this point because we're busy we're choosing to invest this time into some business building. And so
Mhm.
that's been super exciting, fun, and very enlightening, so to speak, because you don't know what you don't know until you know. And then once you know, you can't unknow. All right, you guys, we're running way over, which is not like us, but we really wanted to share some of those tips with you, and they'll be coming out more and more. Reach out, let us know where you're struggling. Oh, and today's the last day for the 2-for-1. It won't stay that way for April, but we are going to build a new membership platform at a very affordable price that will include several things each month for you for getting some live one-on-one time, not one-on-one, but group time with us. So stay tuned for that as we roll that out here within the second week of April or so. And yeah, 2-for-1, you get 2 hours with either Norma or myself, or one for each of us. Although we really feel with the eniology, it takes 2 1-hour sessions, right? To really dig in. Yeah. So, but don't worry, we're going to have lots of opportunities around that. So we love you guys very much and wishing you a very fantastic day. Norma, any parting words?
Have fun. Woo wee. Stay out of the weeds.
Woo!